Hello guys, welcome back to another tier list video. This time it's not me or just we related. This time we're doing a tier list of the 2021 NASCAR drivers. And this is going to be how I feel about them. This isn't going to have nothing, well, this could have some influence on performance, but this is just how I feel about every driver. Now, this does not include every driver for 2021, as there are a few that you might be able to see are missing. Like you can kind of see that guys like Ty Dillon and Joey Gase are missing from this list. So let's get into it. So first we got William Byron. Be a bit honest, yeah, I guess I'd put him in the neutral category. There isn't really much special about him, but we can put him there, I guess. Next up, David Reagan. He's only doing a one-off for the Daytona 500 this year, just like what he did last year, although he did run a few truck races. I did kind of like him, but he's kind of neutral for me. Anthony Alfredo, not really sure about his choice to make the leap from running part-time Xfinity to going full-time in the Cup Series for Front Row Motorsports. Well, I mean, he had the opportunity because it was like the only spot left open, and I think that RCR wasn't really going to have funds for him to have a second car alongside Myatt Snyder. But because he's actually a really nice guy. I don't think I've met him, but he's a really nice guy on Twitter as well. Like Fast Pasta is his nickname, so I'm gonna put him in like. All right, Austin Cindric. If this was 2017, I would have put him in hate. He's only running part-time to get him ready for 2022 when he's going to race for the Wood Brothers full-time in 2022. He's running part-time for Penske. His first start will come in the Daytona 500. Probably will include maybe Talladega and some of the road courses. We'll just have to wait and see. Probably an intermediate track or two in there. If this was 2017, he would probably go in the hate category, and probably same thing with 2018. But 2019 was when he really began to show off what he can really do, I think, in the Xfinity Series. I'm going to put him in neutral. I don't really like his personality, but he's a great guy. All right, now we got Cole Custer. For Cole Custer, I'm going to put him in, I guess, neutral as well, because there isn't really much special about him, but I mean, he's also a nice guy in the garage, but he's just kind of like not really much special about him. Right. Alex Bowman, I'd say I like him. I think that Bowman could have a breakout year this year. If you remember last year, he really destroyed the competition at Auto Club, leading in, I believe, both practice sessions and qualifying, as well as then eventually winning the race. No, he didn't win the pole. He led both practice sessions, but he did not win the pole. Clint Boyer won the pole. I put him in like because he also, like Alfredo, seems like a nice guy, but yeah, not really much special about him. Now the first driver I dislike, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And if this was 2018, he'd be in hate because he's just way too aggressive. If you watched how he races, then you'll know what I mean, why I'm putting him in dislike, because he is way too aggressive on the track. Like, he caused two big ones at the Coke 0400 a few years ago. Like, the dude needs to just stop being so aggressive. He just has to stop. Joey Gase. I actually raced with him once in go-karts. But I'm going to put him in neutral, I guess, because not really much special about him besides the work he's done. Like, I know he's done a lot of work with Donate Life, which I think is a great charity group, but well, it's not a charity group, but I think that for Gase, I think that he's a really nice guy. I've talked to him before, but His performance is what drags him down. He even got close to being Noah Gragson. I hate Noah Gragson. Well, he's only going to be running, if it was Brendan Gaughan in the 62 again this year for the restrictor plate races, he would be in love, because I love Brendan Gaughan, but Noah Gragson, I'll be a bit honest, was not the right choice to put in the 62, because he's going to probably cause the big one for sure. I hope he does not make the 500 this year. If you've watched what he's done in the Xfinity Series, he got into a fight in the middle of a pandemic. He's been very aggressive as well on track, and he's also very rude as well. I mean, I've met him in the garage and all, and he was pretty nice then, but he's just been like so annoying and stuff. Like, I just hate Noah Gragson. All right, BJ McLeod. I mean, he's probably a nice guy in the garage. I haven't met him, but there's just an issue I have with him, and it's that why is he in the 78? I mean, he is the co-owner with Matt Tifft and all, but why would he want to drive the car when he's like, I think he's like 37, I think, and it would probably make more sense to have a more younger coming driver put in the 78, like I don't know, Ty Dillon, because Ty Dillon probably would have been a fit for the ride. Or Garrett Smithley as well, because he drove the 78 car twice last year. I think it was at Talladega in the Bristol night race. But McLeod, he really could have given the 78 to a more younger and up-and-coming driver. Right, Michael McDowell. I actually like him a lot. Like, I know that like he doesn't really get a lot of attention, like, but the reason I like him is because he really outperformed in that 34 car last year. Like, Mike Joy, mid-season, Mike Joy said that if the 34 of Michael McDowell and the 38 of John Hunter Nemechek can stay in the top 25 in owner point, can keep their cars in the top 25 in owner points, it'll be the first time that owner Bob Jenkins will have two of his cars in the top 25. That didn't happen because John Hunter really fell apart towards the end of the season. That's why Alfredo ended up going to the 38. Excuse me. Well, I remember going to Watkins Glen in 2019. McDowell was driving the hell out of that thing. He was running in like the top 10 all day from what I can remember. Like, the guy deserves a better ride. I know he's a lot older. Like, there were even rumors he was going to get dropped from the 34 ride. Like, he got very close to getting dropped from the 34 ride this year because he doesn't bring much sponsorship. He's lucky to have Love's, which stayed on with Landon Castle, and which has been it's been a sponsor with Front Row Motorsports since when David Gilliland was in the 38. And there's that. Eric Jones. I love Eric Jones. And I know that Eric Jones might not be a favorite of many, but I love Eric Jones. Like, the guy is a really great driver. Like, he knows how to wheel a car. Although he had a down year last year, and because Joe Gibbs wants his drivers to get 5 wins a season, he got dumped. Well, I mean, only Denny got more than 5 wins, but I mean, he was doing the worst out of everyone, so he had to be the odd man out. But about Jones, like, I remember Ken Squire at Darlington called him that Jones boy because he won at Darlington. I think the issue is that he was rushed. Like, I feel like he could have maybe done another year in Xfinity. Maybe he should have run a few more Cup races in 2016, although he was going to before they introduced the dumb charter system. I think that Jones just is a great driver and all, but he's also a really nice guy too. I've met him in the garage before. Daniel Suarez, I love Daniel Suarez. Although I feel bad for him because he's had to jump from team to team like every year or so. Like this guy, I was so happy to see him win the championship. He's really nice as well. back in 2016 when he became the first Latin American to win a National Series title. Like, Suarez can wheel a car for sure, but he really disappointed me in Cup after Carl Edwards retired in the 19, where Suarez ended up making it 2 seasons before he got released in favor of Martin Truex Jr. And then he went to Stewart-Haas, where he got dumped, while the guy who should have gotten dumped stayed for 1 more year. Suarez then moved over to Gaunt Brothers, which was like a last-minute deal. They were even only going to run part-time at first. I think they only had like about half a season budget for Gaunt. And I was like screaming on the floor after Suarez wrecked in his dual race last year because he deserved to make the Daytona 500. And after missing the Daytona 500, he was one of the most consistent drivers all season long. And he's now gotten a ride with Justin Marks and Trackhouse Racing, and he's got some of the coolest paint jobs, I have to admit. Alright, Josh Bilicki. How do I feel about Josh Bilicki? Well, he's also pretty nice, but he doesn't perform that well. Road ringer out of Wisconsin, made his debut at Road America as a result of calling teams that had TBA listed, ran the race for Obica, then came back for a few more races for them, and mostly ran Xfinity part-time until Rick Ware decided, you know what, I'm gonna let you run a road race for us. He then ended up coming back for New Hampshire later on. And he's usually run the road races every year, but I mean, I can see why he... this 51 is actually supposed to be Cody Ware. That's actually my fault. I forgot that Joey Gase was in the 53, not the 51 this year, because Gase had been in the 51 last year. That's actually my fault. So this is actually Cody Ware. He would go neutral anyway as well. Bilicki, I mean, they probably put him full-time because of the large amount of road courses this year, but I mean, Bilicki probably could easily get maybe 25, top 20 in a Rick Ware car maybe on the road courses, but outside of that, he's going to probably not do that well. Timmy Hill. I like Timmy Hill a lot. The issue is, for Timmy, he's in crap equipment. He's driving in one of the worst cars on track. He's driving for Carl Long, and the guy tries his best. He managed to run the full season last year in Cup, and as a result and there were a bunch of memes surrounding him, how they think that he should get the 48 ride. When Jimmy retired, instead Bowman switched over from the 88 to the 48. So, yeah, Timmy, I think, could definitely do great in good equipment. And the memes especially sparked after he won the iRacing event, and people were starting to say, hey, maybe Timmy Hill deserves a good ride. And he's in a Toyota as well. Maybe one day Carl Long could maybe become a satellite team for Joe Gibbs in the future. I'd like to see that happen. Quinn Houff. And also Timmy also owns Hill Motorsports in the Truck Series, which that team has been really good when you consider has done really good. Quinn Houff, I hate you. Like, this kid should not be in the 00 car. I don't know what Derek Cope was thinking, who we'll get to later, when he put Quinn in the car. Like, Landon Castle, from what I've heard, had the least amount of DNFs, even though Castle was driving in crap equipment. Like I knew that Quinn Houff was going to be a dumpster fire when he got up into the Cup Series back in 2019, when he ran about half the schedule for Spire Motorsports. Like, I knew he was going to be, in last a lot, but I did not know how much of a wrecker he was going to be. Like, in the Daytona 500 last year, he was trying to block a couple of more faster cars behind him, like a couple of Haas cars and Ganassi cars who were hanging in the back. He tried to block them. He ended up putting himself in the wall and ended up collecting B.J. McLeod, who was in the 52 last year's race. But also, he gained a lot of notoriety after he pretty much just almost took out Matt DiBenedetto at Texas last year when he thought it would be a good idea to try to come down pit road from the top of the racetrack. And that wasn't the first time he did that. A rookie did something like that this year. He ran for Rookie of the Year this year. He didn't run in 2019. Like J.J. Yaley, sadly, he's not going to be running full-time this year, it looks like. I guess Rick Ware dumped him in favor of guys who bring money. But, Quinn Houff, he had, and after that incident, like, Brad Keselowski, suggested that they install a super license system similar to the one that Formula One does so that they don't get a bunch of pay drivers that don't know how to race. And there's that. Kyle Larson. I'm actually going to put him in neutral because I used to like, or at some points even love Kyle Larson. But I'll admit it, but especially after he said the N-word in an iRacing broadcast, I lost all respect for him. And if this was filmed back in April, he would go into the hate category for sure. Like, hands down, he would be in the hate category. And he probably would have been the hate category for the months to follow. However, closer to when he got reinstated by NASCAR, I noticed that that he definitely, I think, redeemed himself. Like I saw some photos of him with a group that works with Black Lives Matter, which I think that is definitely something that that people who want to try to redeem themselves should try to do work for. Try to show that you're not racist, and I think he's proved it to me. Like Bubba Wallace, like I think that like back then he did not deserve a second chance, but I think that over time he's shown to me that he deserves a second chance. Austin Dillon, fuck you. Hate. Austin Dillon, I just hate Austin Dillon. Like, he's won in the most luckiest ways you'll ever see. Like, this guy is so lucky. Like, he's only in the 3 car because his grandfather, Richard Childress, owns the team. Like, if Richard Childress was not the owner, Dillon would for sure have been dumped a few years ago. Like, Dillon has also been, like, awful on track. Like, one time, I think before, he was, like Austin Dillon being in the car, and just both he and Ty Dillon had to do with why Kevin Harvick left, RCR, because he said, I've got a bunch of rich kids down here in the series, that's why I'm leaving RCR, and he's totally right on that, and we'll get to Harvick later, but Austin Dillon has also not honored the legacy of the number 3, which was obviously Earnhardt's number. He has not honored his legacy at all. Like, he has absolutely not honored it. He has no business in the Cup Series at all. Like, Austin, just get the hell out of the 3 ride. Alright. Now Kevin Harvick is up. I dislike Kevin Harvick. The main reason why, it was because he wins too much, and and as a Denny Hamlin fan, like, all Hamlin fans, of course, hate Kevin Harvick. Or just dislike him at least. Like, in 2018, 2018 was probably the year where I despised Harvick. I just despised Kevin Harvick because he was just winning way too much. Alright, who's next? Ryan Newman. Neutral. Although, I mean, he's done some pretty dumb stuff before on track. Like, especially when he blocked Chase Elliott when he was en route to his first win. He also blocked Matt DiBenedetto en route to his first win. Like, the guy is just not easy to pass anyway, but, I mean, it's Newman, so what do you expect? But, I mean, he also, I also got very nervous about him last year when he nearly died at the Daytona 500, and thank God he's still alive today. Like, the guy also has had bad luck before. Like, he's flipped over multiple times prior to 2020 when he flipped in 2003, 2009, like, and he's also had a ton of cars on top of him, on top of his car. Corey LaJoie. I'd say neutral as well, although he's definitely become a meme within the NASCAR community. Like, I kind of like Corey. I think he would do better in. I think he would do great and better equipped. He's also just not really a great guy in general. Like, and he made a ton of mistakes in 2017. He nearly derailed Cole Witt and Clint Boyer in the 2017 Daytona 500 when a couple of cars were coming down pit road, and he thought he would pit too. He did not even hit the brakes and ended up wrecking his own car. And then he just kept wrecking like almost every week to follow. He later would start to kind of get better, but I mean, he still just was wrecking a lot and getting into too many incidents. However, then in 2018 he picked up a part-time ride with to share with Cole Witt, who had requested to run a part-time schedule. He later eventually retired, and LaJoie also continued to have bad luck and get involved in accidents. And then 2019 he ended up picking up a ride with Go Fast Racing after a deal with Joey Gase fell through. And I thought he did pretty okay in the equipment he was running in. Then 2020 came, and he started to get equipment from Stewart Haas, but he just pretty much ran the same. Like, I thought he was gonna start to get some more top 25s, top 20s, but yeah, he just fell apart. And after Go Fast Racing announced they were gonna scale back to part-time, he was out of ride. He later picked up a ride with Spire Motorsports. But the biggest issue I have with him was when he ran the Trump car for about 10 races this year. Like, I don't care what side you're on, but keep politics out of racing, out of NASCAR. Because like, those Trump cars just should not have been on any car. Like, NASCAR themselves were considering the possibility of banning political sponsorships because of all the Trump cars that were showing up, which they should have done, although unfortunately the ban on political sponsorships would also have led to the Black Lives Matter car from Bubba not being allowed to run. We'll get to him later. Chase Elliott, like, I like Chase Elliott, but I would have put him in love, but my taste for him has really fallen down the rabbit hole because he has just been pretty reckless as well. Like, if you watched the Clash last night, he dumped Ryan Blaney for the win. He also remember dumped Joey Logano for the win. We'll get to him later. Like, he's just like, he's also not really there's not really that much great about his personality anyway. Like, we don't really know much about his personality anyway, or I don't really know much. But he's just like not a great. Well, he's obviously a great driver. He won the championship last year. But I mean, he can definitely find a way to get out of his bad luck. Ryan Preece, neutral. I would like to put him in like. He's very nice, but he was awful last year. He like wrecked almost every weekend, and I don't know why the hell GTG Daughtery decided to bring him back. He's just not really a great driver, but a really nice guy. Eric Almirola, like. I know Eric Almiroli, the parody account, would like me to put him in love, but Almirola, he's a pretty nice guy too. I've met him before, but he's kind of begun to slump a bit, which is a shame because his stint with Stewart Haas has been like the first time he's been in top tier Cup equipment. If only he was able to get a good ride at an earlier age. Denny Hamlin, love. Very easy pick. He's just... Denny is one of the nicest guys you'll meet in the garage. Well, I don't know about that, but he's a wheelman. Like, the guy donated to the Alabama what is it called? The Montgomery... I don't remember what it's called, but outside of that, like, Denny has been in the series for quite a while, about 15 years now. He's one of the greatest to not win a championship. He's even won more races than Mark Martin, so that means he'll be in the Hall of Fame. But Denny also is also become a meme among fans and drivers as well. Like he's a really great driver, and that's why he's been my favorite since when I started watching in 2012. Kurt Busch, neutral. I mean, I have kind of liked him before, but he's kind of waned a bit, because ever since probably towards like the beginning of the decade when he drove for James Finch, when he was awful. Then after that, I mean, he did really good for Furniture Row Racing, but then in his stint with Stewart-Haas was mostly mediocre. He did win races here and there. He won the 500 a few years ago, but at Ganassi, he's been mediocre. Like he's been consistent, but he hasn't been great. So he's neutral. Tyler Reddick, I love Tyler Reddick. The guy is really good. He's a really good driver. Like, he knows how to wheel a car, for sure. Definitely a lot better than Austin does. Like, he won a stage last year, as a matter of fact. And I remember at Phoenix, he had a shot to win the race. He was running in second before he got wrecked. Like, he is just one of the greatest young drivers that I've seen. Like, he's that good, but he's in RCR equipment, unfortunately. Hopefully he can get that first win this year. He got close last year. He finished 1-2 at Texas, when RCR got their first 1-2 finish in quite a while, when Austin Dillon, in a luck-based win, won. Ryan Blaney, neutral. I don't really have much to say about Blaney. He's a talented driver, but he keeps screwing up a lot. Chase Briscoe, I love Chase Briscoe. Like, Chase Briscoe is going to be a star. He hasn't even made a Cup start yet. He's going to make a Cup start on Sunday for the Daytona 500, which will be his first Cup start in his first full season, replacing Clint Bowyer. And he won... I think he won about like 9 Xfinity races last year for Stewart-Haas in the 98 car. Like, he managed to outduel Kyle Busch at Darlington. Like, he really wheeled his ass off trying to stop Kyle Busch from overtaking him at Darlington, and he ended up holding him off to win. Like, that was when I immediately believed that Briscoe was the real deal. And he's also one hell of a dirt racer as well. And with the dirt race at Bristol this year, he's gonna probably win the pole, and maybe, well, I mean, Kyle Larson probably will, but Briscoe is gonna be up front for sure at the dirt. Derek Cope, he's only running the Daytona 500 this year. He may run a few more after that, depending on if a driver can bring sponsorship to the 15 at Rick Ware. I'm gonna put neutral. I would like to put him in like, but because this is gonna be his only start, I'm gonna put him in neutral. Like, Brendan Poole had been in the 15 last year, but he's apparently parted ways with the team because he lost funding from Spartan Mosquito, from what I've heard. Not sure who's going to be in the 15 after that. I've heard J.D. Davison, the Australian driver, Garrett Smithley, and I think Joey Gase will also run some races in the 15. But Cope is... I'm going to be pulling for Cope on Sunday because he's going to become, I believe, the second oldest driver to start the Daytona 500 after Mark Thompson, who did it in 2018. And he's in a chartered car, so he's guaranteed to make the show. He's the 1990 Daytona 500 champion. kind of wish he ran the number 50, because Rise of the Field Fillers, Brock Beard, I got your back there. And I really hope Derek Cope can at least get a top 10 finish. He's probably going to start towards the back, probably maybe like 37th, 38th, maybe even last on the grid, but I would love to see Derek Cope get at least a top 10 finish on Sunday. Chris Buescher, neutral. Not really much special about him. He won in a rain short and Pocono race a few years ago. He won the Xfinity Championship the year prior. He performed pretty well at GTG Daughtery Racing when he ran for a few years for them, but last year he was kind of okay for Roush. Brad Keselowski, I dislike him. Brad, while I admit he's no longer in the hate category for me, he's still kind of a bit of a jackass at times. Like I lost a lot of respect for him after after a bunch of the dumb moves he's made driving. Like, especially when he wrecked Jeff Gordon a few years ago at Texas, which actually knocked Gordon out of contention to win the championship. But I mean, Brad just he also just needs to stop feuding with other drivers. Like last year, he was feuding a lot with teammate Joey Logano, who we'll get to in a bit. Kyle Busch, I dislike you. Now, I will admit, if this was a few years ago, he'd definitely be in hate because of how much he won and how much of a troll he was in the driver's seat. But I mean, he's won 2 cup titles, and you would think coming off of a championship he would at least win a lot of races. He ended up only winning once last year, and he's probably starting to decline, unfortunately for him. Martin Truex Jr., I like him a lot. Like after he started to have his amazing runs at Furniture Row in 2015, I began to immediately earn respect for him. After his win at Pocono, that was probably the most special win I had seen, especially since his wife, Sherry Pollux, had been fighting cancer, and sadly for her, she's fighting cancer again. But Truex is one hell of a driver. He obviously deserved to win the 2017 title. He dominated the season, driving for Barney Visser, which was the only team outside of the Carolinas, and they were out of Denver, Colorado, as a matter of fact, which that made it even more special. But Truex, after the 78 team closed down after 2018, he later moved over to Joe Gibbs Racing, and he was a hell of a wheelman in 2019. I think he won the most races out of everyone, but he didn't make it to the championship. No, he did make it to the Final Four, it's just that he didn't win it. This last year, he was a big disappointment. I actually have a friend of mine who's a very big Truex fan. There's actually a photo of me with him at Watkins Glen that I have on my phone, I think, where I was wearing my Denny gear and he was wearing his Truex gear. Team Toyota all the way. Christopher Bell. He's definitely a great driver, but I'm gonna put him in like Bell. I will admit, he's just he doesn't really have much great things about him in general. Like, he won the Truck Series Championship a few years ago, and he also, I think, had the single season record for most wins in the Xfinity Series a few years ago. He's one hell of a driver, I will admit. He won in only his 3rd truck start in 2015 at Eldora, and he's going to be fast at the Bristol Dirt Race for sure as well. And Bell also had been having some really good races last year for Levine Family Racing. Sadly, they're dead now, but he was doing one hell of a job in that 95 car. Next up, Matt DiBenedetto. And this is going to be love, of course. DiBenedetto has become a fan favorite ever since he got into the 83 car for BK Racing. After he finished 6th at Bristol in 2016, the whole world blew up after that. Like, finishing 6th in a BK racing car was incredible for him. Like, I knew he deserved top equipment. He's not really in top equipment. He's in, like, semi-top equipment. He's driving for the Wood Brothers right now. And he almost even won his first race in 2019. And last year, too. He's had many close instances to getting that first win. And this year, I think, is the year that Matty D will get that first career win. Alright. Now, my most hated driver out of all of them, Joey Logano. I hate Joey Logano with a passion. He's just been an enemy of Hamlin fans. Like, he's also very rude as well. Like, after he like pretty much injured Denny back in 2013 at Auto Club, that was when I really began to hate Logano. Like Logano, he's also just he's just way too aggressive as well. Like, he's a jerk. Alright. Ross Chastain, I love him. The Melon Man, Ross Chastain. Actually, wait a minute. I kind of messed up. I accidentally put Logano down there. Yeah, that's fixed now. Ross the Boss Chastain, the Melon Man. He had been in, like, mediocre equipment, but after Chip Ganassi Racing gave him the opportunity to race to do 3 Xfinity races for him a few years ago to try to help solidify himself in the Xfinity playoffs, which he ended up getting his first career win at Las Vegas after he had locked himself in, I think. Like, Ross Chastain knows how to wheel a car. Unfortunately, he didn't win a race last year, but Ross definitely is one hell of a driver. And last but obviously not least, Bubba Wallace. I love Bubba Wallace. Like, fuck all the haters of Bubba Wallace. He's one of my favorites for sure. Like he actually led practice this morning. Like all the boomers can just shut up about him, about Bubba. He's like he is what's bringing in more fans to the sport. Like, and I've also met him in the garage before. Very nice guy. Like, how would I put this? Like, I would love to see the first African-American driver win a race since when Wendell Scott won in, I believe it was in 1963 at Jacksonville Speedway, North Carolina. Like, I would love to see him win again. Okay, sorry about that, but Bubba Wallace, he just needs to like, unfortunately he was in bad equipment, but now he's driving for Michael Jordan, and he is going to be on fire. I think he might not win a race, but he's going to do so much better than what he did driving for the King, Richard Petty. Like, he almost won at Talladega last year. Like, I'm gonna be so happy if Bubba can actually win a race this year. I will be, like, so happy. So this is the full tier list now. This isn't every driver. I mostly went over every driver. Probably went too long going over every driver, but that'll be it for this video. I'll see y'all next time, and who are your favorites? And who do you not want to see win a race? Alright. Well, we'll see about that this year.